All right, so I'm going to state this really simply. I'm convinced personally that Trump was convinced the three sites that he hit with bunker buster bombs were genuinely nuclear facilities. Um, if Trump follows the pattern that led to the destruction of ISIS, um, he's not going to do much unless Israel cannot do it themselves, technically, like at all. Um, when he destroyed ISIS, he basically said, "Look, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, um, Kurds, you field the troops and the mechanized divisions and the vehicles, and we'll provide air support based on our intel and data and your intel and data against targets that you can, because you don't have an air force." And for Israel bombing Iran, he basically just provided B 52s for bunker buster bombs on 3 hidden nuclear facilities. I don't think he's into regime change either, so it's not entirely like the destruction of ISIS. He just kind of tapped the nuclear facilities and is like, boop, you lose them. Okay, we're out again. And it's like, okay, like it's a bit of a slap in the face maybe to the Iranians, supposedly. But I think that it's not going to devolve into a greater conflict. I don't think Trump has any intention of getting into a serious conflict with Iran, even with the Air Force or anything like that. I think it's just a bit of a power move to move carrier group in striking distance of Iran. And it's probably because Iran was like threatening to blockade the Gulf of Hormuz or whatever it's called, where like 20-30% of the world's oil comes from and natural gas comes from, and he would sink their navy blockade and so on if they blockaded it, basically. I think that's all he's doing, basically, and he's going to let Israel and Iran duke it out until one of them gives up, basically. It's probably going to be Iran, because Israel's managed to destroy most of their military infrastructure that can strike Israel, and Israel can keep striking Iran. But I don't think a regime change is on the table necessarily. I don't think that it's going to be an attempt to topple the government. And even if Israel tries to, I don't think America is going to join in. One of the things people should remember is that Trump basically said when Netanyahu probably privately contacted him and said, "Hey, look, can we count on your support?" and so on. And Trump was non-committal towards actual U.S. action, forcing Israel to do its own thing, basically, and take responsibility for its own first strike and the resulting back and forth from that. If you noticed, Netanyahu was reduced to begging for U.S. intervention publicly 2 or 3 times while Trump was saying, "We'll think on it." And that's a reversal of Israel leading U.S. policy. It's a reversal of the tail wagging the dog. Trump is not a whatever Israel wants, we give it kind of guy. If I remember correctly, I'm not sure about this, but I think Israel did something that really angered Trump because it was sort of a backstab on what Trump was trying to do. And so on. And I don't think it's Trump being afraid of Muslims rioting in the West. Britain begged Trump not to hit Iran or else there'd be riots in Britain. And I'm almost wondering if maybe that's the reason why Trump hit Iran in the first place, to make the riots happen in Britain. To force people to flock to the right wing to expel the invaders, the Muslim invaders, as a form of 4D chess. And I think the worst, or no, sorry, not the worst. I think the most impactful situation on the West from Trump hitting those 3 nuclear facilities is basically just that the Muslims are going to show that they don't belong in the West by rioting in all the Anglo countries that they're in, driving the native-born population further and further against them to get rid of them and toss them out of our lands and so on. That's going to be the biggest impact, I think, basically. So calm down. Donald Trump is not going to just invade Iran or start World War III or anything like that. He's just removing the nuclear potential of Iran that Israel couldn't do themselves, basically. So basically, even if it was a nuclear facility, he let Israel do the attacks on them, and the ones Israel just functionally couldn't get because their gear isn't bunker buster bombs that can hit deep enough. Donald Trump hit them with the U.S. Air Force, basically. And that's all he's doing. And he's going to let Israel take the consequences of picking a fight with Iran, basically, other than those 3 nuclear sites. So yeah, calm down. Donald Trump is not selling out America first. He's not a war hawk. He's not a neocon. He's not going to just bow before Israel and do whatever Israel wants. Israel's winning the war against Iran in terms of ability to strike the other country and so on. So, he might even suggest to Israel that they back off a little bit and stop hitting Iran at some point because they've proven their point. I think his total surrender tweet is basically just a sort of scare tactic and so on. Because I don't think any regime change is on the table, to be honest. But I do think angering Muslims in the West so that they act badly, so that the right wing gets more power and influence, so that they can kick all the Muslims out, has more to do with Trump's decision than just Israel asked us to attack. And I think the nuclear facilities, he was genuinely convinced are nuclear facilities, and that's why he struck, because he's always been no nukes for Iran, and he's been tough on Iran for that purpose and so on for a very long time, ever since 2015, basically, I think. Remember, this is the same Trump that said we should not go to war with Iraq because I don't believe in the WMDs, or at least not regime change. And if we do it, then we should keep the oil. But I think it's a bad idea to regime change Iraq, is basically what he was saying. And I think that's a continuation, except that Iran actually does have nuclear capability, or was trying to get it, rather. In a way that was, or at least the data showed in a convincing way to Trump that they looked like Iran was trying to with those places and so on. But one of Trump's policies is getting allies to pull their own weight and to take responsibility for their own national interests militarily. And he might help out in things they functionally and technically cannot do if he finds the need to make sure that they succeed in their goals. But even if he does that, he's not going to invest heavily in a way that endangers American lives, basically, or costs a lot of money. He's letting the allies in their spheres of influence represent themselves and have the responsibility to represent themselves. He's not just going to do everything for them, basically, which is the previous type of behavior, and that's what costed America so much, basically. And that's what America First stands for, basically. It's America first, allies second, not allies first, like Israel first, and then America second. So yeah, and it's not Ukraine first and America second, or anything like that.